Now let's talk about politics here in the U.S. Last night, we had another Democratic presidential debate. Another one, yes. 7 candidates hit the stage in L.A. It happened only one day after President Trump was impeached by the House. So that, of course, was a big topic of discussion. The candidates also clashed on big money fundraisers, with Senator Elizabeth Warren and Mayor Pete Buttigieg butting heads over the dinner that Mayor Pete held in a wine cave.
We made the decision many years ago that rich people in smoke-filled rooms would not pick the next president of the United States. Billionaires in wine caves should not pick the next president of the United States.
This is the problem with issuing purity tests you cannot yourself pass. If I pledge never to be in the company of a progressive Democratic donor, I couldn't be up here.
Wow, purity tests that you cannot pass. That was a shot. Rick Newman here with more.
Hey, guys.
What do you make of that one? The crowd
that was
took a beat, and then the crowd went, oh!
Yeah, that was an interesting exchange. And what Pete Buttigieg basically said after that is, you're rich and I'm not. He said that to Elizabeth Warren. I'm the only person standing up here who's not a millionaire or a billionaire, and he's right. So Buttigieg was basically making the point that I can't self-fund. I need donations in order to run a campaign, and Joe Biden weighed in a little bit later, and he said, look, I don't like the system the way it is with all the money in it either, but we got to run a campaign here, and I'm doing what I can. So that was one of the interesting exchanges. You know, what was different about, I think a couple of things were different about this debate, and I've watched most of them. First of all, big difference between downsizing from 10 candidates to 7. You actually get a much better sense of each candidate, and it's not so much just a zing, ping pong balls going back and forth. It's less soundbitey, and you can actually listen a little bit more, get a little more substance out of it. And for sure, the candidates were now going after Buttigieg. I mean, he was such an underdog. He was almost an afterthought at the beginning, and he has risen to a point of prominence that a couple of the candidates were going after him directly, especially Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota. She seems really aggravated by the fact that he's gotten so much traction and he's only 37 years old, and she kept referring to him as mayor, which to me was kind of a sarcastic put down, similar to bless your heart.
Well, wait, but he is a mayor. I mean,
yeah,
that's his title.
He's a mayor of the 190th largest city in America.
She was
the fourth largest city in Indiana.
She was like, I don't want to take a dig at you because you're just a mayor of this municipality. But that's essentially what she was doing.
Yeah, Warren and Klobuchar kept calling him mayor. And I just detected a little sarcasm.
Isn't her campaign on life support?
Whose?
Klobuchar.
No, it's not.
It's not.
So she's running kind of a shoestring campaign. She's actually doing reasonably well in Iowa because she's a Midwesterner, and we heard a lot about that. We heard a lot of that last night. She was emphasizing the merits and virtues of being a Midwesterner from flyover country, and we really need to have more Midwestern representation in Washington and also in the White House. So that's her pitch, and she's doing reasonably well in Iowa. And if she kind of mounts a surprise showing, if she's top 3 in Iowa, she'll get some momentum. And I think she's actually pretty good on issues. I mean, she's substantive, she's smart and knowledgeable, and she's in the middle. She's centrist. She's not as liberal as Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren.
You talk about representation. The only person of color on the stage last night that did make the stage was Andrew Yang. I'm wondering what you thought of his performance, even though he did qualify for this debate, which some, if you asked 3 months ago, probably would have said his campaign would have been over by now.
I agree. I mean, in his closing arguments, he said, I know you're all wondering, what am I doing up here with them? And people are wondering. I mean, he's an offbeat candidate, and he has a small but passionate group of followers. And that group is big enough to, help him qualify in terms of the polls and the fundraising. I do think he's kind of a one-note Johnny because he keeps talking about universal basic income, which it's an interesting thing to discuss.
Well, and climate change last night.
He did,
relocating people.
But the thing that he differentiates himself on is UBI, universal basic income.
Yep.
Give every American $1,000 a month, fund it with a 10% value-added tax. That is just a political impossibility. There's no chance that can happen. So he's to my mind, he's on the fringe in terms of policy, but he's a smart guy. I love that he wears that math pin. And he's just, he's interesting. It's interesting that he's on the stage. He's different.
Doesn't matter. Do you think that there was one winner on that debate stage yesterday?
I don't think that's, not really, I don't. And I don't really think that's a useful way to think about it. I mean, that's the sort of inside baseball, the horse race mentality. I think these debates have gotten consistently better. I mean, they have been. I think the candidates are
The shrinking is better.
I just like that it started earlier.
I think
They've
the
all felt, I
candidates
think,
are
a little bit more comfortable on that stage. The smaller the
fewer the
field
better.
gets,
Yep.
they've all been able to perform.
Well, I mean,
a
the
lot
more
better.
candidates there are, I mean, it's really like clowns crowded into a phone booth. I mean, they're all, every one of them is, they know they're not going to be remembered unless they come up with a great zinger.
Yes.
And they're just all trying too hard to get the right.
I wrote the
zinger.
damn bill.
Yeah.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.